Hey everyone, it is the AI programmer back at you once again with another video. This time we're going to be talking about, well, actually, this is a part three of the series about how to prepare for your programming or software engineering interview, or how I prepare using AI, or more specifically ChatGPT. So, I wanted to kind of jump into the next step or the next iteration of, or the next prompt, which is, some of the things that are going to be required for this role as far as technical stack and, technical applications that we'll be using to, implement what we are required to implement, things such as TypeScript, Node.js, and Express, and so on and so forth, right? So I wanted to kind of get and then also just in general coding concepts and such as it pertains to, I guess, everyone's own personal development process, and also the development process in general, as far as the software development lifecycle, and I guess some of the core or key phases. So let's dive right into it. So, my prompt was very simple. It was just, let's answer these questions. I kind of had some questions laid out, as far as typical questions you will be asked on an interview. So, and we'll kind of go over these as we go through the answers. So let's start with TypeScript, right? So TypeScript basics, right? So what are the key differences between TypeScript and JavaScript, right? So if you guys don't know, just in my own words, TypeScript is a more statically typed version of JavaScript. Um, and also, to me, I want to say that TypeScript is a more stricter version of JavaScript in how it polices what you're able to do with syntax. And also, it also gives you, I want to say, indication of errors a lot sooner than JavaScript, because of, it doesn't allow you to just kind of do things. It will let you know right away what's allowed and what's not allowed, especially with type errors and things like that. So, TypeScript, you have to be very specific, I want to say, in your implementation when you're coding, with your syntax. So let's jump into what are the key differences between TypeScript and JavaScript, as was given to us by ChatGPT. So the first key point that you want to remember is static typing. So TypeScript introduces static types, which are optional but help catch errors at compile time rather than runtime. So that's what I mentioned before. It's you kind of get those errors when the app is compiling rather than at runtime, like you would do with JavaScript. So it can kind of be harder to catch errors and harder to kind of debug. So that's what static typing does. It helps catch errors at compile time rather than runtime. So also, the second feature will be type annotations. So developers can explicitly define variable types, function return types, and more. So this is helpful, and like I said, this really involves the specificity of using TypeScript over JavaScript. Is you kind of have to be more specific with these types, or you will encounter type errors. So I really like type annotations, and that this is built in. The other feature is, or concept, would be advanced features. So, and that is, TypeScript includes features from future versions of JavaScript, such as async/await from ES 2017. And then lastly, compilation. So TypeScript code must be compiled into JavaScript code before running in the browser or with Node.js. So that's something you want to remember, is that TypeScript code must be compiled into JavaScript code first before running in the browser. So we still are using JavaScript. We're just using TypeScript beforehand to, get our syntax exactly how it needs to be. And then that is in turn being compiled into JavaScript code in the browser, or when you're using Node.js. So those are the key things you want to remember when it comes to compilation. So what are the key differences between TypeScript and JavaScript? Static typing, type annotations, advanced features, and compilation. So how do you define and use interfaces in TypeScript is our second question. Now, so what is an interface? Interface first. So an interface is um, what defines the structure that an object should adhere to. So, for example, we have this code here that says interface, and then we have the name of the interface, and then we have the opening of our code block, and then we have a few attributes, or we'll call them properties of the interface. So we have name and we have age, and then we have a type. So name, which is going to be a string, and then we have age, which has a type of number. So that's what an interface is. It pretty much defines a structure that an object should adhere to. So we're defining a structure here. Now, how do you use interfaces? So you can use interfaces to type check objects and ensure they adhere to the specified structure. So it's pretty, I want to say it's pretty straightforward. Just like our definition says, what we're doing is defining the structure that an object should adhere to, and how we use it is we pretty much want to make sure that when um, we're creating objects, that they're adhering to that structure, right? So this is just, like I said, this is kind of like we're policing how we create objects in a sense. So here we have this other piece of code here that says let user, and now we're making the type of user equal to a person, so it's going to be equal to our interface, and then we're setting that equal to, or we're actually adding a value in here, or creating an object, and setting the name property to John Doe, and then setting the age property to 30. So we're pretty much creating a user variable object, right? Yeah, a user variable object or a variable object called user, using our person interface. So that's how we'll explain that. Okay, so how do you define and use interfaces? Interfaces in TypeScript. So we define our structure that the objects should adhere to, and then we use the interface to type check the object during creation. And that's it. And what is an interface? It's just a structure that an object should adhere to, or it defines the structure that an object should adhere to. That's all an interface is. So can you explain the concept of type inference? So what is type inference? So TypeScript can automatically deduce the type of variable based on its initial value. So for example, we have this piece of code here. Let x equal 5. So we have the variable x, and we're setting it equal to 5. So TypeScript infers x as a number. So even though we're not setting the type explicitly here by using our colon and putting number there, TypeScript is still going to infer this as a number because we're setting the value here. So this works off of the initial value only. That TypeScript is going to do this, and that's with type inference. So TypeScript can pretty much infer the value, or what is another word for that? TypeScript can guess the value based on whatever, or TypeScript can guess the type based on the initial value of the variable. So that's what type inference is. And how this is useful is it reduces the need for explicit type annotations. So this kind of helps you not have to explicitly type annotations or use type annotations, right? So advanced TypeScript. So how do generics work in TypeScript? So this is getting to more advanced topics of TypeScript here. And my video is coming up on 9 minutes, so I'm actually going to wrap it up here, and I'll make moving into advanced TypeScript and how we utilized AI to kind of study advanced TypeScript concepts before our interviews here in the next video. So thank you guys for tuning in. It's the AI Programmer. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. As always, keep coding.